Welcome back to another episode of A Life Behind the Bars Hip Hop Podcast, Hip Hop YouTube stream. Again, Dr. Melvin Armstrong Jr., hip hop's newest doctor, in the building. Happy Easter to everybody. Happy Passover. Happy whatever particular holiday, whatever your religious persuasion is right now. Hopefully everybody ate good, did all that stuff. What's up, Second String? Hey, while y'all playing out there, that's our evil genius laugh. Y'all know how we get down. Second Street Cigar Lounge, downtown LA's finest cigar lounge, Southern California's finest cigar lounge, LA's finest Southern cigar lounge, which is actually bigger than Southern California. Anyway, or not. Even on Centauri 3, they know about Second Street Cigar Lounge, 124 West 2nd Street. You know, y'all was worried. I had it. West 2nd Street, downtown LA's finest cigar spot. So let's get down to it and get into it. My riff for this week is I want to talk a little bit about Lamentations. Now, according to Webster's dictionary, Lamentations is described as the passionate expression of grief, sorrow, weeping, doubt, fear, and or angst. I'll say that again, the passionate expression of grief or sorrow, weeping, doubt, fear, and or angst. As we are here during a sacred time for many, I'm reminded of one of my favorite authors, the founder of Black Liberation Theology, Dr. James Cone, in one of his foundational books, The Cross and the Lynching Tree. James Cone, in this book, Professor Cone says that the crucifixion of Jesus was a spectacle killing like lynching was in the North American context. And in many respects, to understand that crucifixion, that spectacle killing, and to understand the spectacle killing in the North American context, what those deaths are about, that you have to understand the Black American context. Professor Cone also says that if you want to understand the story of Exodus in the Bible, one for a contemporary example of this, you could talk about Black folks in America. So, spectacle killing, publicity, publicly murdering, the soil of this country as we know, and as the great Billie Holiday says in that haunting melody that we all know, Strange Fruit, that the blood of the soil of the United States has been littered with that of Black folks. In another book, James Cone famously echoes about the blues and the spirituals. And in this book, The Blues and the Spirituals, James Cone says that the blues is a secular form of gospel music. And so those sentiments that are expressed in gospel, those laments, are also expressed in blues. So this is why we can have poignantly, me, myself being born in Memphis, Tennessee, and my mother and father being from Osceola, Arkansas. I remember my grandfather and my father growing up, before we would go to the field and chop cotton. Yes, I said that. I myself have actually chopped cotton. We would listen to B.B. King, and I can still always remember those famous words that don't nobody love me but my mama, but she might be jiving too, right? Now, some of you might be saying, this is a great history lesson, this is a great theology lesson, Dr. Armstrong, but what the hell this got to do with hip hop? Well, let me tell you, I would contend that in the same way that the blues is secular gospel music, or the secularization of religious laments and principle, that hip hop is a modern day manifestation of the blues sensibility, of the blue note that Cornel West and other people speak of. And for example, I want to give you an example of this from one of my favorite rappers, one of your favorite rappers, Tupac Shakur. Now remember, Lamentations, the passionate expression of grief, sorrow, or weeping, doubt, fear, or angst. In one of my favorite songs by Tupac Shakur, and many of you know, found on the 1995 Me Against the World album called So Many Tears. Pac tells us, lately, I've been really wanting babies, so I could see a part of me that wasn't always shady. Don't trust my lady, because she's a product of this poison. Been hearing noises, think she's fucking all my boys. I can't take no more. Falling straight to the floor, begging for the Lord to let me in the heaven's door. Shed so many tears. All right. So that's an example of lamentations, clearly, and that's the continuity. So I don't think that there is any person who would be a bridge to be able to have this conversation after talking about lamentations than our guest today, 2nd Street out there in listening land, broadcast land. I'm pleased to welcome to the show a dear brother, a luminary of hip-hop culture, particularly as it relates to the West Coast context. We got world-class Alonzo Williams with us here today. Everybody give him a hand.
What's up, folks?
Yeah. So,
yes, sir.
Brother Alonzo, world-class Alonzo, as we often do here on the show, let's get into it. Let's chop it up. I want to present you my man with a cigar. We won't necessarily go up in there, but all those cigar smokers out there in cigar land, if you looking at this band, you know what this is, and so we ain't got to talk about that, but you know that I know that you know that I know what this thing is. And so I want to present this to you, man. One of the things I often tell people, Lonzo, and I'm pretty sure you've been privy to this as well, I love cigar cultures, I love cigar shops, I love lounges, because I think cigar culture is one of the last bastions, that's for you, my brother.
Thank you.
Of where one men can be men or folks can be folks, and that conversation is key. Because we all know we could go order online or do whatever, but part of the reason that we come to abodes like this is to be conversational. So with that, tell me a little bit about yourself, man. Where did you grow up?
Grew up in the streets of Compton, Doc. Right outside of Compton, technically. Born and raised. Everything I did was CPT orientated from my schools.
That's Compton Corey in the back right there. Compton stand up.
From my education to all my business activities.
Mm-hmm. How does being from Compton, man, shape you early on? One of the things, whether that's talking to Compton Corey or talking to so many people in terms of Compton, by all accounts, and though it's not the traditional suburb by any stretch, but Compton is a suburb. But one of the things that I've always kind of admired from afar is that being from, having family from the South and then growing up in the city. I'm from Illinois, Chicago, South Side, Wild Hundreds. You know how we do it. Sunny Side, stand up. You know how we do it. Is that people from Compton love Compton.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that, man. Why is y'all so strong? And y'all will quickly make that distinction that I'm not from Los Angeles. I'm from Compton. What's that about, man?
Ain't no place like the CPT. As simple as that, Doc. I mean, you have to understand the whole concept of Compton. Compton sits in the hub of everything. Long Beach, Carson, LA, Linwood, and you can't go through none of these cities without passing through Compton.
Okay.
Through a tip of Compton. Compton's only 10 square miles, but it touches so many cities in that 10 square miles. Mm-hmm. It's only a population, only maybe 110,000 people, but it was one of the first cities that was taken over by black folks. It initially started off being an all-white city.
Right, for sure.
It was all white. And at some point in time, Compton had a little laxity on their home ownership rules and regulations.
With the racial covenants.
Exactly.
1950s.
And folks started migrating to Compton because it was an inner city that was nice. It was very nice. It's still nice, contrary to what the media wants to project.
Yeah, for sure, man. But it's just like one of the things that I don't know if it's in the water out there, but y'all, if you from CPT, y'all love it.
Well, you know what now?
Talk to me more about that, man.
That water thing is more than just a myth. Compton has a well. There's a well under Compton.
Okay.
That's very well
so
known.
It literally is the water.
It's literally a well that runs under Compton.
Okay.
That people say the water is some of the purest, best water in Southern California.
Okay.
And that's very true.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about some famous CPT places, man. And I want to get into this, man. So, you're credited by many and hated by others for, and I think rightfully so, talking about yourself being the godfather of much West Coast hip hop, Why do you assert that? Why has that been said about you? Let's talk about that, man. What's your connection?
First of all, anybody that hate on me about that, fuck them. Number one,
okay. Fuck them.
You have to be there. You have to be in the trenches before hip hop.
Right. Okay.
This is how I acquired that title. Okay. I was doing this before it was hip hop.
Right.
I was the first mobile DJ out of Compton back in 1976, 77.
Okay.
I was doing things in Compton before hip hop even hit Compton.
Okay. So talk to me about some of the places. Like, what were some of the poppin' spots? Like when you talk about the 70s and especially the late 70s, I think about that's the land that was when disco. That's like Parliament. That's the roller skate. Like, what were the spots in Compton? Where did you first, make your mark, man?
You know what? Before I made my mark, the mark was made on me.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Okay. Campanella Park.
Okay, Campanella Park.
Campanella Park in Compton.
Okay. For those that don't know, where's that at?
That's right there off of between Rosecrans and Compton Boulevard.
Okay.
The school I went to Catholic school. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's another story, backstory.
For
St. Albert's.
Okay.
I went to St. Albert's.
Okay.
And at my Catholic school, they gave dances, but only had somebody playing records after school.
Okay.
And on Friday nights, they would do the same thing. And later on, KGFJ, the radio station at that time, would bring DJs out to Campanella Park.
Okay, they would bring them out to
Campanella. I'm 14 years old. I go to Campanella Park because if you did not go to Campanella Park and go to the Boss Time Cross sock hop, you wasn't shit Monday morning.
Okay.
So you had to be at the Boss Time Cross. Tom Cross was a DJ on KGFJ, old radio station. People think K-Day was the first one to play hip hop. No. You got to be there to know. Okay. Campanella Park, Gonzalez Park, and by the time I got old enough, they were just radio DJs, and that was my first impression of a DJ. Well, I thought I had to be a radio DJ to be a street DJ.
Okay, so talk to me about that in terms of the perception of for you being a DJ, and I think hip hop or other musical cultures wax and wane like that, so that sometimes the producer is seen as the main thing to be, or then the MC, and then that seems to go back and forth. Don Tracy Broadcasting School. Talk to me about it, man.
Now, although I went to Centennial, I left Centennial in 11th grade. Shit got tight.
Okay.
The Crips and Bloods was fighting, and I had to avoid the bullets.
Okay.
So I left running one day.
Okay.
Went to Gardena High School. That's where I graduated from.
Okay.
I'm bi-tribal. I'm a Mohegan at Centennial. I'm sorry, I'm an Apache at Centennial and a Mohegan from Gardena.
Okay, so you got it all, huh?
I got both sides of the tribe.
Okay. Well, that reminds me of one of my favorite jokes since we're talking about that. And though it's not politically correct, whatever makes you think Dr. Armstrong is politically correct. So stop me if you've heard this one, Zoe. It was one time my granddaddy used to always tell me, he said, because Osceola High School, Osceola, Arkansas, is the Seminoles because of, the Trail of Tears and all that other stuff. Folks ended in Arkansas, Oklahoma. And so he would go up to a young lady. He said, girl, you look like you got Indian in your family. And she would be like, he's like, are you a Navajo? To which she would respond, what?
I don't know.
I'm a Chicago hoe. Anyway, edit that out for those. Hopefully no kids was listening to that. But Anyway, back to the lecture at hand. So let's get into that, man. So you went to that, you had, like you said, multi-tribes, all that other stuff. But talk to me about how you got into this Don Tracy broadcasting school. Talk to me about that.
When I went to Gardena High School, they came around, I was 12th grade, they brought around this little pamphlet, what you want to do when you got out of high school.
Okay.
I hadn't planned to go to college. Everybody was going to college. I wasn't really think I was college material. And they had this thing for broadcast school.
Okay.
And even though I had a real bad lisp at that time, I checked out broadcasting and something else.
Okay.
And a few months later, I got a scholarship to go to the Don Tracy School of Broadcasting.
Now, talk to me a little bit more about that, man, like growing up with a lisp, because I as an educator, I feel like that sometimes there are kids out there who, one of the things that I really love about that brother who directed Black Panther and other movies like that, Ryan Coogler, is that brother is really open about talking about, like, you know, him having speech impediments or ADHD and talking.
I got all that.
Okay, so like, how is it that you? Because to me, that's like a courageous act, fam. How did you, though you had a lisp and had to deal with those potential educational kind of barriers for you, why broadcasting? That seems odd to me.
Well, you know what?